I went to church this morning. Yeah, I went to church, a bar with a great view of Sloan's Lake. I talked to the few people who were near. One guy was on his cell phone, and his spoken voice was exactly like Neil Young. I told him after his conversation, and he seemed pleased. He started to sing a little Neil Young song, but his singing voice did not sound like Neil Young. The guy who sat down on my right looked like he was about 30 years old, but Erica, the pregnant bartender, carded him anyway. And I said, that's a compliment. That's a compliment. It's been years since I've been ID'd. God, it was great at 40 to get ID'd. The church was pretty full, so I just went for it with conversation with whoever was around. The guy who got ID'd was married and had 2 stepkids who were rotten. He wanted to be paid, they wanted to be paid for cleaning their rooms. He seemed like a good guy, but was in an impossible situation. The mother didn't back him up, and the kids were undisciplined. He was polite, soft-spoken, but I could tell he wasn't happy. I mean, who is happy at a bar at 9 a.m. in the morning? I told him when I was his stepkid's age, we often did an hour of work around the house or in the yard. He drank his shot and he drank his beer. He patted me on the back affectionately a few times and got up and it's time to leave. I said, good luck with those kids. The guy who sounded like Neil Young was talking about the Dodger pitcher who pitched a perfect game against Seattle last night. He said animatedly, no one even got on base. He said it again, no one even got on base. And I said, can you imagine sitting in Seattle watching that unfold, history in front of your eyes? How nervous you'd be with every pitch, with every nuance. The whole place about to explode even though it was at a visitor's ballpark. This pitcher brought joy to me, and brought joy to this other guy. We are neither Dodger fans, but it's just a concept of the rarity of perfection. And he was a guy who sounded like Neil Young. Erica, the bartender, was pretty, and she was pregnant with about a 6-month baby bump. She didn't try to conceal anything. When the guy who replaced the guy with the rotten stepkids sat down, he ordered a shot and a beer. He didn't last long till he was nodding out. At one point, he was even leaning on me and sleeping. Erica was monitoring the situation. He was fading fast. And Erica with the baby bump tolerated at first. But then she cut him off. She said, you're going to have to go. You can't be sleeping in the bar. She said it with a mean voice necessary to get through to drunken men sleeping in a bar. I said, he needs a taxi. And she didn't really respond much. So I said it again a few minutes later more forcefully. I said, he needs someone to call him for a cab. And after about 5 minutes, the cab arrived. I knew he wasn't going to make it into the cab smoothly, so I walked out with him, casually to not embarrass him. We made conversation. Sure enough, right when he tried to grab the door handle of the cab, he went south, heading for the face plant on the concrete. I grabbed him hard right away and held him up. I opened the door and helped him into the cab and walked back to my seat. I drank my 3rd pint of Guinness. There was a group of 4 Spanish-speaking guys down to the left. And the guy who sounded like Neil Young tried to engage them. He said, what do your wives think of you guys drinking this morning? They all laughed. It was clear that they could speak English too, but just preferred speaking Spanish. I felt happy that they were welcomed in this gringo bar. Bottles and bottles of Corona, Keep 'em coming. Keep 'em coming, Erica. Neil Young sounding guy just to engage them, saying his comment made me feel good. The perfect comment, I thought. I was far too engaged the jovial group who were obviously close friends. After my third pint at happy hour, the price of the $3.75 went up to $4.50. I felt I had a happy hour and that it was time for me to go. I'd written a song on a napkin. I thought how I could never feel this way in a real church, Christian church anyway. After many years of trying, I'd given up. I had the opportunity to do an act of mercy in keeping the drunk man from hurting himself and getting a taxi home. I had the opportunity to rejoice with the guy who sounded like Neil Young over the Dodger pitcher with the perfect game. And I was able to comfort a guy who was bound to a shitty marriage with two shitty little stepchildren. And I even made my donation to pregnant Erica. Tipped her well. Left money on the counter. Yeah, I went to church this morning. And it was a good sermon.